Marie, good morning to you.
Good morning. Hi.
Marie, you were 19, I gather, at the time of the referendum. Did you vote in it?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And which way did you vote?
So I voted to leave.
Right. And how do you feel about that now?
So at the time, I felt that I was very much convinced and swayed by an unfair rhetoric that was very flawed, obviously. And at the time, that was just before I started university. So I didn't really have an informed idea about politics in general. But since starting university, my view has completely 100% changed, and I am a Remainer now. So yeah, there's quite a few things actually that led me to change my mind.
When you talk about the rhetoric, I mean,
Yeah.
are you able to recall what kinds of things were said in the run-up to the referendum that resonated with you to the extent that you thought, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to change the status quo of this country. I'm going to vote for something, a seismic shift, a seismic
Yeah.
change.
Yeah. So I guess one of the huge promises was they promised that they would send 350 million to the NHS instead of directly putting it into the EU's pocket. So that was a huge thing that I thought was necessary. And also the fact that they clearly promised that there would be no short-term economic disruption, and the fact that they would just automatically get brand new trade deals all over the world. So I didn't really think twice about that. I thought that all sounded very well and good to me at the time, and that was kind of really what persuaded me to vote.
But did you, just out of interest, because if you take, for example, the side of the bus promise, the 350 million for the NHS,
Yeah.
which was it was a very effective message for people because we all care very much about our National Health Service in this country and we want it to have as much money as possible. Absolutely, I understand. But the counter was constantly being put. You know, those on the other side of the argument were saying, but you won't have the 350 million if the economy doesn't do as well. Because any money that the UK does save from leaving the European Union will have to go into filling the gap in the economy. So that argument was put. Why did you not believe those on the other side of the argument who were making the counterclaims?
I don't really know, to be honest. I think the people around me, so the environment that I was in at that time, especially it was just before I went to university, so I was very much in an environment where I was very influenced by other people, other adults around me. And that environment back then was sort of swayed for leave. And I wasn't living in London or anything, so although I did live in London before, so I felt that I was influenced by that. And
So you were surrounded by lots of other people saying, yeah, we're voting to leave.
Yeah, basically, and I didn't really, I wasn't really convinced about the Remain argument at that time, so, yeah.
So here we are 3 years later.
Yeah.
At what point did you start to think, oh, maybe I don't feel the same way about this anymore?
Oh, yeah, it kind of came very soon, actually, because in 2017, at the start of 2017, I started sort of a placement with the British Council. And the British Council, as everyone knows, they do amazing work with a lot of things, but in particular, they fund the Erasmus Plus scheme. They work with that. Obviously, the EU funds that, but they're the ones who help the Erasmus Plus sort of go around universities and who benefit young people as a whole. And that sort of influenced me to take part in the Erasmus Plus scheme. And I took part in that total of 5 times now. And that's a series of short-term youth placements that helped me to go abroad to Germany and Turkey and Lithuania, and to be able to discuss topics such as entrepreneurship and women's empowerment. And these were all funded by the European Union. And I think this was a huge thing that kind of changed Catalyst, to kind of change my mind. And in thinking that, well, I feel really connected with European young people now, and these people I call my friends. And that suddenly became a reality, that the fact that if we would exit the EU, then that there would be a huge divide and a huge split, and that wasn't what I was wanting anymore.
There will be lots of people, and I understand, for your generation, that is something that's powerful. Maybe to some of my listeners, it won't really be very meaningful at all. But there will be some of my listeners who will be thinking, do you know what, Marie, you're young, you don't realise it. Britain was fine before we joined the EU, we'll be fine afterwards. You just need to have faith. It was always going to be difficult to get out. You've got to have faith. We'll be fine in the future. What do you say to those people? I mean, I have to argue against that, just because, I mean, the political chaos that we have now, everyone doesn't know what they're doing. The government is in a mess. Theresa May, she has promised so many things, but has never delivered anything. And her own supporters have actually resigned in protest against that. So the government is split, and the economy is going downhill. Will be going downhill. As well. But there will be people listening who will say, yeah, but the answer to that is not to remain in the European Union. The answer to that is to change the generals. Change the generals and put different people in negotiating it. What do you say to that?
So I would approach it sort of from a different perspective. So I'm a strong believer in sort of the fact that the UK prides itself, on things like diversity and inclusion. And
well, some parts of the UK do, other parts really do not, and are not happy with how diverse we are.
Yeah, but I strongly believe that the way forward is to emphasize and sort of accelerate, build upon that diversity that we have, especially looking at the young people now. I mean, the young people are the future for the UK, and the diversity that is occurring at the young people level is insane. And I feel that as a result of Brexit, the Brexit vote, there's certainly a huge rise in terms of a lot of racist, xenophobic sort of rhetoric and hate crime, and just a general quite a huge surge in that kind of hostile environment.
Okay, Marie, thank you very much indeed. Marie, who voted Leave, has changed her mind.